In this lesson, we're going to be taking a look at the sizing and placement options for the components on your canvas. In Vev, when it comes to adding elements to your canvas, there are various sizing options available. When adding an element to your canvas, you are free to adjust the size by clicking and dragging the handles on the outside corners of that object. The default value for a lot of elements will be percentage width and a pixel height. With an element selected, you can change the sizing value by clicking the drop-down beside one of the size fields within the style panel. This will reveal a list of options. Here you can define and control the size of elements using the following CSS units. Pixels are a fixed or absolute value that are used when you need to specify an exact size. Percentages are a relative value, meaning their size is defined by a percentage of the parent container. Viewport size, also known as VW or VH, are sizes that represent a percentage of the viewport's width and height. In Vev, the viewport is essentially the same size as the canvas, which refers to the dimensions of the visible area within the web browser. For example, if the browser viewport is set to 1000 pixels, then 1 VW is 10 pixels. Automatic size is used when you want the container to set the size automatically according to its contents. For example, if you set a text container to be auto height, the height of the container will grow or shrink to contain the text when you add or remove content. CSS units determine how an element is resized based on various factors, such as the screen size or the component's content. Based on the options I've mentioned, choose one that best suits your sizing needs. Feel free to experiment with a variety of different sizing units to get a feel for how each of them work. You can also lock the aspect ratio of an element, such as an image or video. This will allow you to adjust and resize the element, but maintain the overall relationship between the height and the width. To do this, go to the chain symbol beside the width and height properties within the style panel. Selecting this option will lock the aspect ratio to the currently set ratio. Alternatively, you can also right-click this icon to reveal a list of popular aspect ratios. Constraints refer to an object's position in relation to its parent container, such as a frame or the section itself. Essentially, it establishes a fixed anchor point in relation to the parent container. When placing an element into a section or within a frame, constraints are automatically set according to the element's initial position. If you move the element, the constraints update automatically. This feature makes layout design easier by automatically setting the most suitable constraints for you. The auto constraint feature only applies to the x-axis. The y-axis will always be set to top by default and will require changing manually when required. With an element selected, these settings are visible at the top of the style panel on the right-hand side of the canvas. Adjustments to the constraints can be either made by directly interacting with the element or by altering the values of the elements in the style panel. If you want manual control over an element's constraints, you can turn auto constraints off by overriding the auto option here to be either left, center, or right. Just like sizing a component, you are able to change the unit of the constraints to pixels, percentage, viewport width, or viewport height. Last thing to note is that when working with constraints, you will see a blue guideline on the canvas to highlight which constraint points are set based on the parent container.